Emil Guillermo. Emil, Amok to you. This is my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout. Every now and then we do a special edition of Emil Amok's takeout. We do a special Oakland Pan or Pan Oakland podcast, and that means we bring up the co-founder and the premier writer, playwright, essayist, poet, Ishmael Reed to come on and talk with us about the issues of the day. Hi, Ishmael.
Hi, Emil. How you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Good to see you. Hey, I just want to start off by saying, how was the play, the Aryans? Life Among the Aryans closed just a couple weeks ago.
Well, it's going to do another run in October. There was such a demand for it.
Oh, great. Same place at the
same play. I don't know if we'll have the same cast, but it'll be the same play.
Yeah. Great. And then you got something else coming up too later in the year too.
Well, we had 3 plays staged this year. There was a Shine Challenge, 2025, that played in New York. And then there was the Life Among the Aryans, which premiered in New York in 2018 and predicted the insurrection. And then we had Life Among the Aryans again here in excuse me, I'm all messed up here.
Oh, that's all right.
In Chattanooga, we had the haunting of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Right.
Which coincided with the arrival of the Hamilton musical in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, we've been stalking the Hamilton production all over the world, and I'm surprised that they haven't brought us to court for stalking. Because some places where the Hamilton musical is mentioned, they mention my rebuttal play, The Haunting of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
So last year, we made New Zealand. Hamilton arrived in New Zealand, and my picture was there. They had a picture of me at Hamilton's tomb.
So as long as that play runs, as Hamilton runs,
I'm in business.
The Haunting of Lin-Manuel Miranda. You will be haunting Lin-Manuel.
We have the Lookout Mountain players. Lookout players. There's Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, and so they had the Lookout players.
Yeah. And
they performed the play at Howard High School, which is my mother attended Howard High School in the 1930s, but this is it's evolved since then. But anyway, that was ironic that the play premiered at the Howard High School, Incarnation of Howard High School, and had great audiences. And there I made the mainstream press.
Well, you're the local hero. You're the local literary hero.
Yeah, they have me in museums down there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the main event where I was going to premiere my Chattanooga suite.
Yeah.
I composed for a piano. The main event was canceled because of a storm. We thought we were going to get tornadoes in Chattanooga, downtown Chattanooga. And that happens to me when I go to Chattanooga. It's like the first time I did a homecoming.
Yeah.
I was invited to Chattanooga, and the Klan had shot 9 black women, 6, at least 6.
Yeah.
And the streets were deserted, so hardly anybody attended the event.
When was this? What year was that?
Oh, I don't know. I think back in the 80s. I'm not sure.
80s, yeah. Wow.
Then the second time, the African American Museum down there invited me, and I got hassled by a cop. So I was on Lookout Mountain, is one of the tallest mountains in the United States, and I have I get a phobia about heights.
Yeah.
So Tennessee went out where the observatory was, or where you can observe states from, whatever.
From Lookout Mountain, yeah.
Lookout Mountain. I was standing in front of the gift shop. And a cop comes up to me and he said, "What are you doing? Who are you? Where are you from?" Yeah, just start hassling me, usually racial profiling.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I wrote a book about this incline that takes you up to this observatory, or whatever you want to call it." He said, "Well, let's go into the bookstore and see if it's in there." Yeah. But then he saw who my escorts were.
Oh, who's your escort? The mayor?
One of the most powerful people, black people in Chattanooga. And seeing them, he backed down and he gave us a motorcycle escort of Lookout Mountain, where you had these streets named after heroes like Frederick Douglass and all that. Because according to what I heard down there, General Grant, after the Battle of Tennessee, his body servants remained behind, and they lived in these neighborhoods. So that was a second trip.
Yeah, boy, it really matters who you know, and then he.
Oh, well, I mean, the last trip, I wrote a piece in Politico called "The Two Tennessees," and the mayor Ryan read it, and so I was his guest this time.
Oh, nice. Well, what do you think? I heard that whole area is changing, but a lot of them, are still very, very red states. Did you feel?
Well, according to what they say down there, Chattanooga's always odd because you had people who fought for the Union as well as some people who fought for the Confederacy. But there was an incident where Jefferson Davis came to the Reed Hotel. Well, we stayed at the historic hotel, the Reed Hotel, READ.
Different Reed.
Yeah, and Jefferson Davis tried to recruit people there, and they were unionists, pro-unionists. He ran into trouble. But anyways, it's the word is Chattanooga is more progressive than Tennessee.
Than the rest of the state. Well,
yeah.
Except for those little odd moments when you get harassed by a policeman.
Well, that's all over.
Yeah.
I mean, you see what they did to that senator.
Oh yeah.
Racial profiling.
Right. All the legislators there too. Yeah. All right. So Ishmael, I always like to have you on because we like to talk about what you're doing, what you're writing, and also your takes on Emil Amok's Takeout. My takes on all things considerable. I know you have things that you consider considerable. So let's start off with the things you're writing. I understand you're writing essays, op-eds.
Well, I'm finishing up a novel.
Yeah.
And working on composing some music and getting some CDs out with my compositions.
Yeah.
And writing a new play.
Yeah. By the way, your musical compositions, they're like OG rap. I mean, I heard the last one that was released with great guitarist, great musicians.
Blues, Ronnie Stewart.
Yeah.
Where I performed with the West Coast Blues All Stars, his group.
Yeah. Oh, it's really nice. And some of that music was used in the play Shine Challenge when we were in New York.
No, that's different.
That was different. Oh,
those different compositions. I got into composing because we didn't have enough money to hire a composer. Because I played piano.
Yeah.
And that was for the conductor.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. It was for
Shine.
No. It was for The Slave Who Loved Caviar.
Oh, yeah.
About the relationship between Basquiat and Warhol. So that's what that was. So I'm working on a couple of new CDs with original music. One is called The Jazz Martyrs, which is a long poem I wrote. And I'm accompanied by David Murray on tenor and Michael DeChantis on piano. He plays, the music was transcribed, and so he performs it on piano, and I do the voice.
Yeah, that's what I found on Apple Music.
Yeah.
With Ronnie Stewart.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that's different. That's a different CD. That's a blues CD.
Yeah, that's the blue CD with Ronnie Stewart and David Murray. But you're working on a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that Just Rolling Along and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Loop, if Loop
Yeah,
Guru
yeah. Just Rolling Along was I think it's 2019 Best American Poetry 2019. That was a poem.
Yeah, I really like that whole. It's on Apple Music. People can get it on Apple Music. Blues lyrics featuring Ronnie Stewart and David Murray with Ishmael Reed. No, I mean it's like you've got your tentacles into all of these things, and you still have time to write little op-eds. The kind
Well,
of
I have to I have to work in multiple genres in order to get my message across. So I have difficulty placing my op-eds.
Why do you think?
Well, I think it's because I think privileged white males monopolize the opinion industry.
Yeah.
And they quote each other. For example, I tune into Morning Joe sometimes, and so they'll mention what David French thinks, or what Nicholas Kristof thinks, or what. So it's like it's all. I wouldn't call it incestuous, but it seems that maybe 30 or 40 names are usually quoted when people want to address a different subject, and so we get left out. For example, I was subject of a documentary on BBC on the BBC,
Yeah.
and I watched how they covered the humiliation of the South African president by Donald Trump. So here you had the same talking heads, what I would call green room vagrants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Analyzing this.
Right.
BBC, you got actual Africans living in South Africa talking about it. Political leaders, intellectuals.
Right.
So I think maybe they don't have that kind of scope in the United States media because they like to do things on the cheap. So you get these panels all day of people who really often not informed about what they're talking about, don't know what they're talking about.
It's just rhetorical filler, right? And
that's what it is.
And it's also the limited Rolodex
and entertainment.
Oh yeah, entertainment. It's the limited Rolodex.
So it's like theater. Like you have Scott Jennings plays the alienated, offended white man.
Yeah.
On the A.B. Phillips show, and so he plays that role. And then you have the liberals, and just
right. You got the guy with the cowboy hat, who's the liberal.
Cheap theater. It's cheap theater. I mean, you don't have to pay for costumes or props, or it's like really, just no frills theater.
Well, this is the thing about essentially it's old style talk radio.
Yeah, right.
You have a moderator, and you have who acts as a provocateur. You bring people together. I've done talk radio. And the reason why talk radio is successful is number one, if you have the right people, is that it's cheap, right?
Cheap, yeah.
And in television, you don't pay big stars. A lot of the people who go on those panels do it for free, unless they want to make sure they if they like a panelist, they'll give them a little stipend, or they'll put them on contract. And this is our white man, and this is our brown man. But you notice. There was never any Asian guy. Oh, there's that guy Shan, who's an attorney, former prosecutor. He goes on sometimes, but very few Asians. Every now and then, there's an Indian American who used to go on all the time to talk about national security, who was a woman.
Well, that's why social media is important, because if I go on Facebook, I can get black historians like Gerald Horn. Or I can get Paul Ortiz, like Hispanic historians and Native American historians. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And so I use some of that material for Conch.
Yeah.
That appears on Facebook. So that's why social media is important to us.
Yeah. Well, it's become the medium or the media of choice, or the plan. I asked a crowd that I spoke to the other day. I said, anyone pick up a newspaper? I mean, no one raised their hands. I mean, it's like newspapers are dead, and it's why the faster the New York Times and the Washington Post go online totally. The bet, in fact, I live in a place where I can't even, they won't even deliver me the New York Times. They'll send it by mail 3 days late. And they're just essentially driving me to go to the web, but it's an inferior platform because
I like the hard copy.
Yeah. I mean, you get the newspaper in your hand and you see it laid out, and it tells you how important a news story is versus online anyway. So I'm glad you're still getting your stuff out, in the op-eds. What do you think?
See, we have fundamental disagreements with the way others see the world, but we can't get our points of view. I have to go to Spain. I can get my stuff published in Spain, or I can get my plays done in China.
China?
Oh, yeah, they did Mother Hubbard, a play out of the 90s. And as a matter of fact, Carla Blank, my partner, directed it over there in Hunan. We got a great response over there, but you can't get it done here. And I think our points of view are limited. So I had a disagreement about the way the media interpreted the election because, and I'm editor-in-chief of a new magazine called Tar Baby.
Oh, yeah. Great. Oh,
which is financed by the Toni Morrison Foundation, and her son, Ford Morrison, is the publisher. And I interviewed Don Lemon, and Don Lemon said that at CNN, they're told to go soft on the deplorables because they buy products. There you go.
Yeah.
So the advertisers really dictate content. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the line has been that in order to coddle these killers and assassins and people beat up cops like January 6th, where he went in there and assaulted police and he let them go. He pardoned them.
Yeah.
And he even pardoned these guys who are going to kidnap and kill the governor of Michigan, right? So he pardoned them. And so I guess they're going to pardon this guy who killed the two senators in Minnesota. He's probably going to pardon them because he said he won't talk about it.
Yeah. Well,
he's not going to call the governor. Yeah. The governor's a whack job. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll pardon these people, but anyway.
Yeah. Belcher, by the way, is a Trump voter. The shooter.
Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah.
They're not going to bring that up.
I've seen it reported, and
I think. Well, he gave Obama's address out in Washington, and some nut showed up, and they said, "Well, why didn't Michelle attend?"
Right.
I mean, this guy gives your address, and a crazy person shows up, and he's supposed to go to the inaugural or something. I don't know. It makes sense. So anyway, the line has been. Well, first the line was that the deplorables voted for Trump because of economics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of morphed into, well, young white men are lonely. That's the new line. Well, the most privileged group in the history of the world.
Yeah.
White American men.
Yeah.
Are lonely. And that's why. So my theory was that Trump, the deplorables voted for Trump because he called Kamala a prostitute, a whore. And I reached back to the antebellum period where you had novelists like Thomas Dixon, who wrote The Klansman, which was the source for Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Thomas Page and some of those Southern writers depicting, had the promiscuous slave wench as a type. And that was brought up. I mean, there's something really antebellum about this administration. They believe the white men should rule women and minorities. There you go.
Yeah.
So let me finish.
Yeah.
So I submitted mine, and then a study came along. A study printed in the same newspaper where they just rejected my op-ed. A study came along saying, no, it wasn't economics.
Oh, what was it?
They shared the prejudices of Trump. And what are those prejudices?
Yeah.
Black people are putting other groups up to mischief.
What?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. We're always seen as the ringleaders.
Yeah.
We're always
right. We follow you. We follow you.
Well, you have black studies, and then you got ethnic studies, and then you got women's studies, and then you got LGBTQ. People look at blacks as the avant-garde or whatever, or the vanguard.
You're the leaders.
Right, right, right. So his stuff is aimed at black people.
Yeah.
And if a Mexican American or somebody gets their way, we get him because they're dark too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My friend Gates just wrote a piece in the Times saying that he and I are on very good terms. Matter of fact, he's one of the directors of the Before Columbus Foundation. So he had a long piece in Sunday Times. Matter of fact, he made the front page about these people all upset about the Pope's black ancestry. I think he sneaked in there with his black ancestry. So Gates had orders to, like, I don't know, he said, well, he's actually Pan-American. He's mixed up. I said, well, next time the cop stops me, I'm going to say, well, I'm Pan-American. I mean,
hey,
anyway,
we're all mixed. We're all mixed.
Listen, anyway, I interviewed the Pope's cousin.
Yeah.
I got an exclusive interview with the Pope's cousin who lives in New Orleans, which I'm going to publish in Conch. And she said that they passed for white in New Orleans and they passed for white in Chicago.
They were passing.
Well, I had a black Pope in my last one of my last novel.
I remember. Well, I'll tell you, the black Pope. I mean, for a Creole Pope, he's certainly
it's a black Pope. Now,
he's not Creole.
Well, no. I mean, that's just a cover up. That's look. Yeah. They say the one drop rule.
Yeah.
You got African ancestry, you're black. And then when it comes about somebody you want to claim is white, they say, well, he's Creole. Yeah. Like they did Tiger Woods. They said, well, I don't know if Tiger Woods is Asian or black, but when he got in the scandal, he's black.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
he's black.
Yeah. All right. So I've seen the Times call what's his name? Not the new Francis. He's not the new Francis. He's the new
Provost.
Yeah, Prevost. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen him call him Creole. And then the last article showed how he was Pope Leo. Pope Leo was leaning conservative. And then that was, with his conservative garb. So I don't know what it's
but he said he's all for woke.
He's woke?
He endorsed woke.
Yeah.
But the census in New Orleans lists the whole family as black.
Wow, I know that.
The New York Times carried that.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember. Well, did you see the U.S. Open, the golf? Did you watch the golf? The last hole, the 18th hole. The guy who won, J.J. Spawn.
Yeah.
And he's the winner. And a lot of people were turned off because it wasn't a big name, but it was the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you look at J.J. Spawn and you look at you say, is the guy black? I mean, he's dark, right? He's dark.
He's black.
But he's not black. You know what he is? He's white European, right, from his father's side. But his mother was Mexican and Filipino.
I see. Well,
she was Mexipino. And all that created this dark, swarthy looking dude, 5'8".
Yeah.
Who won it all with a 65-foot.
Yeah, well, they like us to lose. We can't be winners.
Well, I thought that was the greatest diversity moment in golf since Tiger Woods.
Yeah, well, I have a white ancestor, so does that make me Pan-American?
Well, I like your idea of Pan-American.
Not to the. Well, I got to convince the white people who redline us and everything of that.
Yeah,
we have to convince them of that. We got to convince the banks that we're Pan-American. We're all Pan-American.
Right.
We have to convince the insurance companies and some of the, people who use blacks in experimentation. We got to convince the criminal justice system that we're Pan-American. And I don't think they're going to be convinced.
But then you have these moments, like I said, this U.S. Open moment where the guy who wins, and a lot of people were turned off because it wasn't like a prominent golfer. Yeah. This guy, J.J. Spawn, is like, he's like mid-level, and he's married to a white woman. He's got mixed kids, and his wife said in an interview that, this is so great for JJ. He's been struggling for so long, and now he feels like he belongs. Yeah, and that is sort of like, the message of all of us. Hey, we belong.
Well, I don't care.
Maybe so you don't like the Pan American line, though.
Well, as long as you can convince these. Well, I don't. I think the people who voted against Pamela saw her as black, not as American. And
See, that's the
the
thing.
point I was making was that this is one of the filthiest campaign, dirtiest campaign in the history.
Oh yeah,
against this woman, calling her a whore who likes to give blowjobs. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw that. I saw, and Trump said it. Yeah.
And well, he retweeted that.
Yeah.
And how did her white sisters respond? They voted for Trump. The majority voted for Trump.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a political form of Stockholm syndrome.
Well, this whole thing too, that the other reason why analysts say Trump won is because there was that bleed off from the traditional, Latino, Black, and even Asian communities. The bleed off.
Yeah, the Latinos say that the Latinos, which was part of my piece, said the Latino men voted for Trump not because of economic reasons, but because they didn't want a woman running things.
Yeah. So it's
and I think the same thing for the black guys. Now, I talked to Don Lemon. About the influence that these rappers have. They are making so much money for the corporate media that the corporate media chooses them over the traditional civil rights leaders.
Yeah,
they can't handle it. They don't. They're not informed. Most of them. Some are. Most of them. And so when the New York Times asked about Kamala's candidacy, they didn't go to a civil rights leader. They went to a rapper. So you had these people like Pump, one of these guys named Pump something.
Yeah.
He was supporting Trump, and Trump called him Pimp. He got it all mixed up. Little Pump. Yeah, he said if Pump was elected, he will leave America. And then you had Snoop Dogg, who performed at the inaugural.
Yeah. And the Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah, at Trump's inaugural. I don't care
about
yeah. Trump's inaugural.
Yeah.
And then you had Curtis 50 Cent Jackson.
Yeah.
Like the front man for what I call the Black Pathology Network Stars.
Yeah.
Black Pathology series one of them was written by a white woman.
Yeah.
This thing called the Black the Black Mafia Family or something like that. I mean, how ridiculous. Black Mafia Family on Stars, written by a white woman. And also P-Town on Stars, written by a white woman. Which is okay. But I think you have white writers living in the suburbs writing about my neighborhood and getting big contracts. So
your neighborhood in Oakland.
Yeah, so that's how it went down.
Yeah.
That the way he depicted her, and then these rappers, you had 16 rappers supporting Trump. Now, Don Lemon said he didn't think they influenced the election. Well, those people have millions of followers.
Yeah. No, they influenced the election. Sure. The bleed off.
Yeah. So
bleed off is enough to give a margin.
Well, yeah, but I mean, one of the reasons it wasn't economics.
No.
The white privileged males who dominate public opinion and on TV didn't attribute it to what the Hispanic moderates and intellectuals said. I quoted some Hispanic intellectuals, and I got it published in El País.
Spain.
We had different reasons for Hispanic men voting for Trump. Is because of chauvinism, and black men the same way didn't want a woman to aspire. So what I call it is that black men and the rappers endorsing Trump, the biggest blunder in black history.
Mm.
The biggest blunder in black history. Gave us a fascist government. 3 million people in Africa will die by the end of the year because of his policies. Okay?
USAID being...
He did away with the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yeah.
So thousands of black people would die of cancer because they're in these polluted zones,
Right.
these factories. So this is a matter of life and death. And some say, well, we didn't like her policy on Gaza. Well, I can understand that because obviously genocide is being committed there. But she was trapped like Hubert Humphrey was trapped.
Yeah.
Hubert Humphrey had to be loyal to Johnson over Vietnam, and she was being loyal to Biden. But let me tell you what Hubert Humphrey said. He said if he were black living in the project, he'd start a revolt.
Hubert Humphrey said that?
He sure did. And George Wallace jumped on. He said, well, he said if you've been he better revolt. That's what Humphrey said.
Yeah, Triple H.
And so the progressives stayed home, and Nixon won.
Yeah.
And with all that, Humphrey came within 1% of defeating Nixon, with the progressives staying home. So, they want things to be ideal and pure.
Yeah. Well, I like your analysis of why black and Latino voters went with Trump, because that bleed off was enough to give Trump his margin of victory. And
I call it suicide by vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now they're not the only ones. You see, the Venezuelans voted for Trump.
Yeah. Oh, and
they're being deported. They're being deported.
Yeah.
Okay. A number of the groups that voted for Trump, they're being deported. So, I said, well, we try to explain this to these people. We've been here maybe, since 1419 or whatever. And we try to explain this guy, his trickery, the devilment and all that these people up to. But you still got these newcomers who think, they're going to vote for Trump. And by voting for Trump, they'll be assimilated and considered white. No, they don't see you as white. You see what they did for Padilla, the senator.
Padilla. Oh, yeah. Padilla
they never would have done that to a white congressman or senator. You know that.
But Padilla is another one of those, it was another one of those we belong, we don't belong kind of moments, because Padilla is of that generation, a little younger than me, who went, my father's a fry cook, just like his father was a short order cook. His mother was a cleaner. My mother stayed at home because she had a heart problem. But, we're of a generation that were given an opportunity. I believe he went to MIT, right? And then, and then became senator. I went to Harvard, and there was a pathway for. They identified us as, we're going to be the ones to go. And some of us went off and did stuff and and even if you think you belong, look at Padilla, you don't belong. And then there comes
this radicalized him.
Yeah. Well, I hope he needs to be radicalized.
I don't know if you heard his speech today.
No. Padilla
radicalized him. Yeah.
He needs to, because at some point, those of us who got that, who became beneficiaries of, it wasn't affirmative action, but it was, in that era.
Affirmative action.
Yeah, in that era. And we thought, we were going to be assimilated. We were going to become one of them. And then everyone has a different moment where, we don't belong. We don't, because you can go and participate until you get to that level. And then you get to that we don't belong moment. And he got his.
Yeah, we had Malcolm X to teach us.
Yeah. Yeah. There are these people who they rise until they don't rise. And then when they don't rise, why? You got to ask why.
They handle him like he was a bum or something. The black shirts. You see the black shirts?
Yeah, yeah.
This idiot, the Homeland Security person?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she the one that shot the dog?
Kristi Noem?
Is she the one that shot the dog?
Yeah, Kristi Noem, the governor of South Carolina.
Shot the dog.
Yeah.
And then the sheep witnessed this. She had to shoot the sheep because the sheep would come and testify. Is that why she shot the sheep too?
I don't know why she shot, but she copped to in her book, and I guess it was.
No, she shot the dog.
Oh, she shot the. Yeah, I know she shot the dog, but
and then she shot the sheep. You didn't hear that?
I didn't hear about the sheep.
Was that because the sheep could testify against her, or what? So she was killed. She was killed in the witness.
I don't know. Hey, listen. All I know is that
she doesn't know what habeas corpus means.
No, she doesn't. She lost $3,000 from her purse in that restaurant, but apparently she also lost her copy of the Constitution.
And lost her mind too.
Her,
Don't forget about that.
her constituents, the largest Asian American group.
Well, they probably won't vote for her again.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they voted for her, but the largest Asian American.
Hey, listen, I forgot to tell you this.
What's that?
You remember what's his name? That guy, Ed Bloom.
Oh yeah, Ed Bloom. Yes, the anti-affirmative action guy.
So like Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. He goes from campus to campus on behalf of these billionaires trying to find some test cases, have his little bag and checks in the Motel 6. Wait a minute. Waldorf, has his little bag. And, like, not, trying to find.
Yeah.
He lied about Asian Americans being discriminated against.
Oh, of course. Yeah. He used Asian Americans.
Asian Americans, Asian American organizations said he lied. Okay.
Yeah.
But their opinion don't count. Yeah. You don't care what they say. We got it covered. You Asian Americans, your point of view, don't worry about it. We got it covered. Okay. Now they're going to deport these students.
Yeah. International students.
They can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. You're right.
That's what's happening with this deportation with the Hispanics. They're deporting people who are citizens. They can't tell them apart. Okay.
Yeah.
So are these students who are used by Ed Bloom, are they going to be deported now after all that?
Well, some of them, didn't get into Harvard after all that.
They're going to deport us. I thought you said we were over. I thought you said when you used us against these black people that there'll be an advantage in it. But now they're coming up there. ICE is coming to our dorms and going to deport us.
Yeah.
What kind of deal is that?
I just know that.
What's the deal?
Yeah. Well, it all falls in line with Donald Trump's America First idea, right? And what does America First? It just means people of color are last. That's what America First usually means.
Well, not in the old days.
Yeah, not in the old days, but in the Trump times.
One of the teachers who really looked after me was American First Nut.
Yeah.
And she didn't mean a white nation. She meant, in those days, it meant like if you behaved and wore a suit, you could be an American person, no matter your color. The good old days, right?
Yeah, you just had to behave. You just have to be good. Be nice. Be nice.
So she cast me as a doctor, and I remember Mama in high school. Now, the progressive would have cast me as a dysfunctional idiot, waiting for a social worker to come help me out. You know what I mean?
She was giving you a boost.
But she said, remember, Ishmael, we're all individuals.
This is in Tennessee?
No, in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, yeah. That's right.
Her name was Nanette Lancaster. I'll never forget her.
See, that's the thing about the upstate New Yorkers. They're always good. They're always right on the issues, upstate New Yorkers. The good, strong, we're going to assimilate you. We want you.
Oh, yeah.
We want you.
But once in a while, you get a Timothy McVeigh.
Oh, Timothy McVeigh.
Like he lived in the suburbs of Buffalo.
Just need to take away the explosives from Timothy McVeigh. Hey, so Ishmael, let's talk about some other things. Like we're coming off No Kings.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, but there's also some bad things. So, for example, there was a shooting. Well, No Kings weekend started off with that shooting in Minnesota with that guy Vance Bolter assassinating the Speaker of the Minnesota House, and then it bookended with another the identification of a shooting victim at a No Kings rally in Salt Lake. Turns out the one of those shot was an Asian American, Arthur Falasa Alu, 39, aka Afa, who appeared in the 17th season of Project Runway. He was a big Samoan dude who was also a fashion designer. And he was shot by Arturo Roberto Gamboa, 24, who's now he's being held on suspicion of murder. But, this was released on Sunday night the identities, and we. I don't think it was widely noted that, hey, there was a shooting. This is the kind of thing, the kind of political violence that Donald Trump has really fostered. And, we have this big Samoan guy, an AAPI, a victim of No King. So as great as it was to see so many people out there in force, it wasn't perfect. We had a death, and it was an AAPI guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you don't
So
hear
what?
about it.
So what?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
we're not hearing about it. But my suggestion, my column that I wrote today, that'll be out later in the week, I said, hey, as you go forward and you try to build on No Kings, remember Afa, remember Alu, Arthur Filosa Alu, who was shot and killed for being a peaceful protester. No Kings on Saturday, identified on Sunday. And once again, the guy who is alleged to have shot him was a so-called neighborhood peace watch kind of guy who had an AR-15 with him.
Well, what did he shoot him for?
It's unclear.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a young 20-something
White guy.
Latino male.
What?
Latino
Well,
Arturo Gamboa.
There's a new book out. I forgot. There's a Latina who appears on MSNBC. She's got a book out, which I just bought. I haven't read it, about Hispanics moving to the right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. I think she's the one who always talks about the Latino community on MSNBC.
She's good. She's very good.
Yeah.
She's got a book. I bought the book about the right wing, Hispanic right wing. Like the guy who was that Cuban guy, Enrico, the guy.
Enrico, the Proud Boys.
Yeah. They gave they gave him the longest sentence. He wasn't even there. He didn't get it. He didn't get it.
He got pardoned.
No, did he get it? I mean, they gave him the longest sentence, and he wasn't even on site.
Right, and then he got pardoned.
But I mean, before the pardon,
yeah.
Did he sort of like in prison say, well, wait a minute, I'm with these guys, yet I got the longest sentence. What's going on? You think he, thought about that? Or
I think he probably said, oh, Trump will take care of me.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy will take care of me.
Well, he's going to take care of this guy that shot the two senators. He's probably going to pardon them.
Yeah.
His attitude's all screwed up. He say, I'm not going to call the governor. He's a whack job, blah, 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 blah. So does that mean he's going to pardon them?
I don't know. I just think
he probably
will, because I mean, anyone who says January 6th was a day of love, well, look at what happened.
Well, he said, well, these guys who wanted to kidnap the governor of Michigan and execute her.
Yeah,
they're probably sitting around drinking beer. So this is the same thing can happen to this guy. He could say, well, I was sitting around drinking beer.
Yeah, this is why the follow-up to No Kings, it has to be beyond No King's Day. We need No King year or something.
Hamilton wanted a monarchy. Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah,
the monarchy. He wanted an elected monarch. That when the elected monarch died, then you elect another monarch. So maybe outside of Mein Kampf, Trump might have read about that.
But
another reading matter.
Yeah. The thing about the monarchy, I think Trump would rather have a monarchy where he's just the show horse.
That's what he is now.
Well, yeah, but he has some influence, more influence than he should on policy. And what if he was just ceremonial? Just make Trump ceremonial.
That's what he is now.
Well, yes. I mean,
he's got an invisible cabinet of evil advising him behind the scenes. Like they're a bunch of eugenicists. Because all of a sudden, during the campaign, he said, "No, Kamala was born with a low IQ." I said, I know where that's coming from.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
IQ.
So he's got these evil people who believe that the black population is getting too big in Africa. So let's cut off aid to Africa. That'll help, slow it down a little bit. It's all in right. I read the stuff.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
I can't get my stuff published. I read all this stuff. I got notes and everything. This is Ishmael. Sorry, we got to pass on this. That's what.
Yeah. Hey, I've gotten those.
From New York Times. They say, "I'm sorry, Ishmael. We have to pass on this," and then they have some lightweight stuff in there.
Yeah. Hey, you know whose voice is getting out there?
Is there such a thing as San Francisco derangement syndrome?
No, but I have been called. Someone said I had Trump derangement syndrome, but
Well, I mean, you had these Eastern columnists like Nicholas Kristof. He just did this piece about how we should not call bigots and racists bigots and racists.
What should we call them?
I don't know. He says we should talk to them. That's a new line. Democrats try to get to these mega people, like the guy defecated. Those guys who defecated in the Capitol.
Yeah.
Try to reach out to them. Don't do that. Don't do that no more.
That's the Newsom. Let's do podcasts with them.
Yeah. Well, he learned, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did he learn a lesson?
I think a little bit. He said
a little bit. He made a great speech.
Yeah.
That was his best speech, man. He's the number one contender for the nomination.
He's making a comeback.
That speech, man. He wiped. Boy, he tough guy. Told that guy to come arrest me. Go on.
Yeah, because
bring it.
Yeah, don't federalize my National Guard.
Yeah.
Don't bring in your Marines. Hey, you know whose voice is getting out? Stephen A. Smith, the ESPN's black voice. Hey, here's the thing about Stephen A. Smith. He has shown his kind of right wing kind of side before, like when Shohei Ohtani. Before Shohei Ohtani's now the darling of baseball, but when he was just about to really bust open and he was still doing things well for the Angels, one All-Star game, Stephen A. Smith practically did an Al Campanis. When the Dodgers guys did, he was racist about blacks, but Stephen A. Smith said you can't have a Japanese guy who doesn't speak English in the face of baseball.
Can we talk about something else?
Okay, what? Yeah, we can talk about something else. All right, let's talk about something else.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Oh no, we could. If you don't want to talk about that's cool. I
wrote a piece about June 10th.
Juneteenth, yeah, Juneteenth. Oh, it's coming up, Juneteenth. All right, let's talk about that.
Okay, this has something to do with the deportation.
Yeah,
and about how that border got there.
Yeah.
Does anybody know how that border got there?
I mean the actual the wall, or who made the border?
The border between Mexico and the United States.
Well, I don't think Amerigo Vespucci had anything to do with
it. Stephen Austin,
right?
A slave owner. The Mexican government at the time allowed him to come into Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But they barred him from bringing slaves. But because Mexico had outlawed slavery in 1825. And Santa Anna, who's considered a villain in school textbooks, was an abolitionist. People in Alamo were slaveholders. But anyway, slave owners. Yeah. But anyway, he brought the slaves in there anyway. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so this brought him in conflict with the Mexican government. And he started a guerrilla campaign against the Mexican government. He and the other guy, Sam Houston. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the Native Americans called him Mr. Tall Drink. I guess he was alcoholic. And so what they did was they were under James Polk.
Ooh, Polk, yeah.
Yeah, Polk gave them permission to expand into Mexico because he wanted Mexico and Cuba to become slave states.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had these generals, including all these guys from who in the future would become Confederate generals like Robert E. Lee and people like that, Jefferson Davis and all that. They were down there. So they cooked up a sort of Gulf of Tonkin incident that gave them permission, gave them an excuse to invade Mexico. And they killed thousands of people. It's a
Yeah.
history that we don't learn in school. I think it's as high as casualties in World War One. They slaughtered thousands of Mexicans, and that's how we got the border. Mexicans had to sign a treaty by gunpoint, and that's the reason of the border. But there's a slavery connection to that because he wanted to make Mexico into a slave state.
Yeah.
These people, there's still a contention about whether California and the Southwest belongs to the United States.
Yeah.
Have been resolved, and so when these people talk, well, people come. I mean, the Hispanic, these indigenous people have been here longer than these people. They were thousands of years before the Europeans came over here.
Yeah.
But
And
now
so
we support them.
they're home already.
Right, absolutely. This is we're living in northern Mexico.
So if you go to San Antonio and you go to the Alamo,
Yep,
and you see where all those slaveholders are fighting, trying to hold off all the.
No, they ran away. They didn't hold off anybody. They ran away.
The Alamo.
So
So if only we remembered the Alamo. If only we remembered the real history of.
Well, you're not going to get the real history. The reason that we got generation of bigots is because of school curriculum.
Yeah,
I mean, and there's a consensus on both the white left and the white right that Anglo studies should prevail.
Yeah, and this is also, it's funny because I talk a lot about the U.S.-Philippine War and the war, the Spanish-American War, which gave the Philippines to the U.S., or the U.S. had to buy it from Spain. But a lot of it is all based on a lot of these cover type of actions, that gives an excuse to go in and to be an imperial force. Examples of perfidy where it's a lie, an excuse, like Spanish-American War, a lie. Philippine-U.S. War or U.S.-Philippine War.
Mm-hmm.
The surrender was based on lying to the Philippines, like they were going to, deal and have some kind of bargain, and then they just captured Emiliano Aguinaldo, and that's how the U.S.-Philippine War ended. So perfidy is an MO.
Well, there's a statue in Buffalo, New York, about the Philippine invasion, and it says that they call indigenous people, the people who were part of the population there, rebels.
Yeah, the rebels. Yeah, we were rebelling against ourselves.
Yeah, right. So go on.
Oh, tell me. Let's go into this whole thing about, because we're talking international, the big news: Iran, Israel, America first. Trump, as we talk, Trump is like demanding that Iran surrender. He's putting forth unconditional surrender. He's asking Iran. How do you think this is all going to play out? I mean, are we preparing for a war?
I think Hesketh, the secretary, it's Hesketh, right?
Hegseth.
Well, he wants a war with China.
He's
talking about, if we don't get the tariff deal we want, we can go to war with China.
Yeah.
Which is like what, 70%, 80% of the world population.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we done Vietnam, we done Iraq, we done Afghanistan, now China, right?
Mm.
I think what happens is a lot of these guys are descendants from Northern European warrior tribes, like where you have incessant war. It must be something like that. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, but Trump said he was going to end the Ukraine-Russian war on day one. He can't do that. Mm-hmm. He tries to be like a peacemaker, and then yesterday he was going to sign this agreement with the G7. And then he wasn't. Then he did. Now he's coming out and he's saying America first means, hey, we're going to.
He didn't know who he was signing a trade agreement with, and the British Prime Minister just let him. He thought he was signing a treaty with the Euro.
Yeah, he doesn't. This is the problem when you have someone who's
it was like really the British, and the British Prime Minister just let him fall. I don't know if you saw this thing last night with Rachel Maddow.
No, I didn't see her.
Where they had the No Kings March.
Yeah.
and you had the Proud Boys on one part, and you had their ones who were heckling them.
Mhm.
Another part, there was a standoff, and somebody came in and started playing tuba, played jazz, and both sides started dancing.
Hey, that's how we're going to solve things. We're going to dance together. We're going to dance
First, the
together.
Proud Boys, they were like, and then all of a sudden they started making their moves, you know.
Music, art.
Yeah.
Maybe
Jazz,
that's the answer.
jazz,
Jazz.
jazz.
So, Ishmael, in the time remaining, what's happening with Penn Oakland? Well, what's
Penn Oakland's got a very nice bank account, thanks to all you guys.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to we got the library all set up for the event.
Yeah.
And we just need nominations now. We've added some members, you know. We added a few people from El Cerrito.
Yes.
Including the poet laureate, Tess Taylor.
Yeah.
Of El Cerrito, and some very nice, very fine people. And so, you know, we wanted to expand a little bit. These people are hard workers.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a real asset. So we're in Penn Oakland's in great shape.
Yeah, that's great to know. That's great as a director. That's great to know.
Yeah.
And what future projects?
We make the news all over the world. Penn Oakland makes, you know, wherever some of our winners show up.
Yeah.
I think we made Iran and Cairo, Egypt, and other places. Tehran. Speaking of Iran right now, but we made newspapers over there. Made newspapers in Cairo. So it's a award that is really people would like to get.
Yeah. All right. So and once again, your new play, a new play is coming up in September.
Yeah.
And you've got another run of Life Among the Aryans coming up.
Yeah. Well, the new play is an examination of Joel Chandler Harris and how he ripped off these people who told him stories on a plantation. He made money and was invited to the White House. They went back to sharecropping. I mean, after the war.
Yeah. And so it's it exposes how he was treated, or
how he ripped them off. Mark Twain mentioned he was one of the most admired men of his time.
Yeah.
And Walt Disney took up his work, what he transcribed, and did Song of the South, and that made about $300 million. Walt Disney paid him $10,000, which was $234,000 in 2024, something like that. But anyway, everybody got paid, but the people who originated the tales. So anyway, that's sort of like an outline of the play.
Oh, good. Well, looking forward to that. All right. So Ishmael, I appreciate you coming on, telling us what's up with you, and I always like talking to you about stuff, about the news, and we had a lot of news. You know, did you have any thoughts about that military parade?
Oh, gross, bad taste. You know, I mean, that sort of kitsch. That sort of goes together with this guy, you know. But he got reelected.
Yeah.
And instead of examining the real reasons why these people elected him, they say, well, you know, white men are lonely. And
they are lonely.
The price of eggs.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. They just lied about it. We did. I mean, she was right. Hillary Clinton. I think she said half. She just said half of them are deplorables.
Yeah.
I would say that anybody voted for Trump is a deplorable because they gave us fascism.
Yeah.
Period.
And so we'll end on that definitive statement.
But watch out for these two guys. This guy being pardoned.
Who?
This guy who shot those two.
Oh,
Trump pardoned him.
Yeah, you're talking about Bolter.
Yeah, I was out drinking beer, you know, and got all.
Bolter. Yeah. All right. Hey, Ishmael, good to see you as always. Take care. There he goes.
Later.
My good friend, esteemed author, playwright, novelist, poet.
Outrageous person.
Loud and proud. Ishmael Reed. Thanks,
Take care.
Ishmael.
I'll talk to you, Emil.
Okay, there he goes. My friend Ishmael Reed. Hey, we do this special every now and then. We'll repeat it on this channel and on other channels. It's the Pan Oakland podcast, which the Emil Amok's Takeout in a different dress, I guess. Thank you, Melinda, for listening in. Melinda Lopez says, great discussion. Thank you very much. If you can, we do this live, sort of just to get it out, no editing, no censorship. Just do it live. And then you can see it, and then we cut it up and put it out on social media because we can. This is democracy at work, right? It's non-corporate. I mean, no one pays us anything. Of course, you can Venmo Emil-Guillermo if you want. Emil I think I have my Venmo here. You can Venmo. You say, yeah, this will cover your expenses, Emil. Yeah. Where is that? Oh yeah, Venmo. Venmo at Emil-Guillermo if you want. Just throw a couple of shekels, and I'll say, yeah, we'll pay for the storage of this. But it's just to get the word out. Ishmael's right. I mean, the people who put out op-eds and papers, they got a limited Rolodex. They talk to the same people. Even the national folks, they talk to the same people. They self-referential. Oh, as Nicholas Kristof said. Oh, as so-and-so and so-and-so said in the Washington Post. Oh, as so-and-so said in the Bulwark. Oh, it's incestuous. And so we do this. Anyway, Emil Guillermo here. Thank you for joining me. Back again when we can. Tomorrow, maybe. Tomorrow, yeah. Maybe. Let's see. Hopefully we'll have peace. I don't know if we're going to have peace. Let's hope. We end with a little loving kindness, meditation, love, spreading love. It can never go wrong by spreading love. So as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. It's a funny thing. I guess we're not going to hear about the ICE raids anymore, right? I mean, Trump can send in the Marines because the appeals court has stopped that. He can keep federalizing the National Guard. They're intact. And I guess he's now pointing his attention to the sanctuary cities. That's bad. He's going to, we're not going to go after the farmers. We're just going to concentrate on the sanctuary cities. That's bad. Be safe. Be safe, everyone. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time.